To say that I'm stressed is a vast understatement. Hello my lovelies, welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm Victoria and today we are starting a new reading vlog. I took a bit of a break last week because I went home for the Easter break, but I'm back and I'm on my reading game. So I do have some books that I currently have. I'm like halfway through, but we're not focusing on those today. I finished a book this morning that it was so good. If you follow me on my socials on Instagram and Goodreads, you'll probably know what it is. But this morning I finished Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. We're not going to get into it into this vlog because I'll probably include it in some sort of wrap up of some kind. So I finished that this morning and that means it's time to start a new book. However, my conundrum and my stress is off of the back. Wow, it's been a long day. Is off of the, oh my gosh. I'm stressed because I can't pick what I want to read next. And I know I literally just uploaded a spring TBR and book haul video, but I'm worried that I'm gonna get myself into a slump or that I'm going to get like a cozy fantasy burnout or just a burnout in general. What I have done is I have picked 4 books and I cannot choose between these 4 books which one I want to pick. So I'm going to use a random number generator to pick one of these books for me to start reading because I just don't know. And I know that if I don't just get into a book, that I'm really worried that I'm just going to get into a slump, and I really don't want to do that. So 2 of the books are from my spring TBR and then my other 2 are not, but we will get into that. But the 2 that I've picked from my spring TBR are Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This is just the epitome of cozy fantasy, apparently. It's a Regency fairy tale-esque kind of book. It sounds like a great time. You've probably read it. I feel like I'm the last person on this planet that hasn't read this book. So this is book number 1. Book number 2 is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This book it crept up on me a little bit when it came to coming onto my spring TBR. Again, watch my previous video if you're curious about that at all. I kind of wanted to give myself another option that wasn't completely fantasy. And then this next one, I have been seeing this book series everywhere and honestly it screams spring to me. I've been reading this book for a while because I know it's like a spin-off series to another series and I haven't read that original series, but a bunch of people have told me that you don't need to read the original series to read this series. But just, I don't know. Basically, it's Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is, I believe, the spin-off series to her Caraval series. But people just rant and rave about this book and about this series in general. I was looking at my bookshelves and it was kind of screaming at me. So this will be book number 3. And then book number 4 is not spring-esque at all. If anything, this is autumn-winter. But it was recently released and it is the only book that I haven't read from this author. And this author, they're one of my faves. I eat her work up. Near enough every single book I've read of hers, I've read in 24 hours. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a paranormal romance and I also believe this is Omegaverse. I've never read an Omegaverse. It's never been something that's interested me or intrigued me. Literally the only reason I want to read this is because it's Ali Hazelwood. I don't think the concept of this book would have intrigued me if it wasn't Ali Hazelwood. 16-year-old me, yeah, she would have been all over this, but 24-year-old, nearly 25-year-old me, not so much. Literally the only reason I want to pick this up is because it's an Ali Hazelwood. So I know it's her first time writing a paranormal romance because my girl usually writes STEM romance novels, which I eat up. So I'm a little kind of about this. These are the 4 books that we are choosing from today. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's their allotted numbers. I'm going to use a random number generator, and we are going to, don't know if you can see that, just generate it and see which one it picks, and hope I enjoy it. Number 4. Okay, so that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. The least springy book out of the 4. But you know what? I'm actually not hating that. I haven't been let down by Ali Hazelwood. I'm really worried about falling into a slump after reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So honestly, if there's any author that's going to make me not be in a slump, it's going to be Ali Hazelwood. I'm not mad about this now. Okay, you know what? Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is Marriage of Convenience. So between a vampire and a werewolf. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I'm actually quite excited now. Let's start. Let's just start. I don't actually know if this camera angle's okay, so I might record all of this and none of it may be useful. It is the next day and I wanted to give you a reading update, obviously. So, first things first, I want to mention that I completed my first audiobook. Yes, she's done it. Was it a reread? Maybe, but it still counts. Something that I've been trying to find is alternatives to listening to music while I'm out and about. I tend to get very easily overwhelmed in large crowds and loud spaces. You very rarely find me walking around in crowded spaces and very public areas without headphones on. But another thing that tends to really overstimulate me and overwhelm me sometimes is music, because I don't like being unaware of my surroundings, but I also can't be too aware of my surroundings. It's a whole thing. So recently I've been trying to find alternatives to music. One of those alternatives are podcasts, which are really, really great. But sometimes one of the reasons why I love music is because it gives you a chance to escape and to kind of drown out the mundane world. And podcasts don't always do that for me. So when Spotify added audiobooks to their library, I saw it as the perfect opportunity to try and get into audiobooks. Now, I tried listening to a couple. I tried listening to The Hobbit and I tried listening to Godkiller, and even though The Hobbit was narrated by Andy Serkis and he is obviously phenomenal, I don't know, I just wasn't gelling with it. And the same with Godkiller, I just wasn't really gelling with how the narrator was telling the story. But I did not give up, because then I came across the perfect story, one of my favourite books of all time, Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wayne Jones. I love this book so much. I reread it every spring and summer. It just brings me so much joy. I also love the Studio Ghibli movie. It's my favourite Studio Ghibli movie of all time ever. Oh, and I love the book. I love it so much. So when I saw there was the audiobook on Spotify, I was like, you know what, let's give it a go. What's the harm? What's the harm? And I loved it. I loved every single second of it. The narrator, she did a phenomenal job. I loved how she narrated Sophie and Hal. She gave Hal a Welsh accent. Like, it made me so happy. If you haven't read the book, then part of the book is based in Wales and Hal is Welsh. So when I heard her give Hal a Welsh accent, it just made me so happy, and I enjoyed it so much. And I finished the audiobook this morning while I was getting ready. It brought me so much joy. So I've come to now realise that I think when it comes to audiobooks, it's probably best to listen to books I've already read, more because I feel like I can very easily zone out. And I don't have the best attention span, so listening to books that I haven't read before can be quite difficult because obviously I need to pay attention so I know what's happening. But if I listen to books that I've read before and I kind of already know the story, I seem to enjoy it a lot more. So yeah, that's a quick reading update. I have now started a new audiobook into Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. As you saw from last night, I was struggling to think of what book I wanted to read next, so I used the number generator, and the book that the number generator picked for me was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Now, I am 86 pages into this book. And I was a little hesitant, I can't lie, more because it is Ali Hazelwood's first step into a genre that isn't just STEM romance. This is a paranormal romance, and I believe this is a step into the Omegaverse, which I have zero experience with. I've never read an Omegaverse, I've never dabbled in Omegaverse, so this is kind of new territory for me. I think I've just discovered that this woman could write anything and I would eat it up. I just find her writing so easy to read, so fun to read. She's already made me laugh like 3 times in this book, and I'm not even 100 pages in. I just know that I can just pick up one of her books and know I'm gonna have a good time. She's such a comfort author for me. I don't know why I was so hesitant to pick this up because I am thoroughly enjoying it. If you're looking for a very in-depth, high fantasy or like, you know, really in-depth world building and character development, is this the book for you? Probably not. This book is just here to have a good time, you know? She's wanted to dabble in fantasy, paranormal, whatever. This was her first time doing it, and you know what? Go off. I love it. I love it. And 16-year-old me, she is kicking her feet right now. I feel like if I read this when I was 16 years old, oh my goodness, well, if I'm eating it up now and I'm nearly 25, 16-year-old me would have been very, very happy. But so far, I don't really have any complaints about this book, like at all. So my plan today is to read more of this book, basically. Read more of this book. I'll probably listen to a bit more of the audiobook as well. I do plan to kind of head out of the flax. The sun is out, the weather looks gorgeous, the temperature is finally rising, spring is springing, and it's just so nice. So I feel like I've rambled on a little bit. I haven't even told you what Bride is about, I've just realised. I've just given you the shoddiest explanation of what this book is actually about. So let me just quickly pop in to give an actual outline of the plot of this book. So our main character, Misery, is the daughter of the head vampire of this world. I think this is set in the human world, but like obviously we've got vampires and werewolves. And our main character, she is always been like a bit of an outcast, and when she was, I think, like 7, to kind of keep the peace between the vampires and the humans, each, I guess, species, they basically, it's called a collateral, and one person from the vampires and one person from the humans is basically given to the others. Basically, a human goes to the vampires and a vampire goes to the humans for, I think, 10 years at a time, and that is called a collateral, and Misery is basically chosen to be a collateral for like 10 years of her life, or longer, I think. No, it's about 10 years of her life. When like the age of 7, she is sent to live with the humans as collateral. So basically, if anything ever happened, if the vampires ever like stepped out of line or hurt the humans would then kill the collateral, and vice versa for the vampires. And even when Misery like returned from her like 10-year stint of being the collateral, she still wasn't really accepted by the vampires, so she ends up kind of living her life among the humans, and she has her best friend slash foster sister, I want to say what is her name? Serena, that she kind of lives her life out. She's like pretending to be a human. She wears like brown contact lenses. She like files down her fangs, and she's kind of content living that way until one day she's basically summoned back to the vampire lair. That's so dramatic. It is called something, but my brain has confuddled. Vampire hive, that's it, to her father. And her father basically tells her that he has arranged a marriage between her and the new alpha were. And this is basically to kind of help bridge a peace treaty between the vampires and the wares. They've had kind of successful arranged marriages between the two in the past, but there was kind of this massive event that happened. I think it was called... I can't remember what it's called. It was called the something. What was it called? The Asta, I think. But basically, a massive war broke out between the two, and they've been divided and enemies ever since. But because the vampires are kind of at risk of extinction, basically, the head vampire is basically kind of thinking of new ways to preserve and protect his people. In order to do that, he's now arranged this marriage. So the basic plot of this story is this arranged marriage between our main character Misery and the new alpha were that is called, I want to say Morland, but that's his last name. Lowe is his first name. And there is kind of this underlining plot that Misery, there's another reason why Misery has agreed to this arranged marriage. There's kind of more that meets the eye, more than meets the eye when it comes to Misery's motivations to seeing this arranged marriage through. So I hope that was a better explanation of the plot of this book than what I just gave, because that, I don't even know what that ramble was that I just did. But anyway, I'm gonna get back to reading some more of Bride. Okay, I know this is like, just roll with it, right? Ali Hazelwood, you have me in a chokehold. I am on page 190. This is our first kind of time we're getting an intimate, oh my god, I can't even talk, like an intimate interaction between our two main characters. Like, I'm shaking. My heart rate has increased. I'm shaking and my heart rate has increased. Oh, I generally don't think this woman could write a book that I wouldn't devour. Excuse the pun. Just wow. Okay. I'm gonna continue reading. Mini update. So I am now on page 271. I am ploughing through this book and I'm loving every second of it. I am eating this book up. Honestly, I actually can't believe I might say this. This may be my favourite Ali Hazelwood. Don't come for me. Yeah, this may be my favourite Ali Hazelwood book yet, which is shocking me, by the way. You know, I think for her first paranormal romance, you know, delving into a genre that's outside of her typical, I think she's done a fabulous job. I am having the best time, and as someone who typically can't really binge a book because I don't have the best attention span for it, I devour her books, every single one. I think the one that took me the longest was Check and Mate, and that took me, I want to say, like 3 days to read. I just didn't really gel with it as much as her other books. But I'm like staring at them while they're on my shelf. But every other book of hers I've read within 24 hours. And I don't think this is going to be any... Honestly, this may be my quickest read of hers. I see me finishing this under 24 hours, which I don't think I've ever really done. I don't think I've ever done that before. I don't think I've ever finished a book like under 24 hours. And this could be the first. I say that, what's the time? It's 3:10 currently. I have barely moved from my bed. All I've been doing is reading this book. That's literally all I've been doing. I do need to go out, but I don't need to leave for like another hour. So I can see me just getting such a big chunk of this book done in the next hour. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know what I'm going to do once I finish this book. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much. What? I can't even form words. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I am. But wow, I'm enjoying it so much. Oh, and honestly, I think Lo may be my favourite Ali Hazelwood male main character. Like, I think he is. And I also love Misery. Like, she is just so like, you know, where there's characters like, and they get themselves in situations and you're like, why are you doing that? For me, she hasn't done that once. I completely understand every single one of her motives and I am with her 100% of the way, and I get it and I'm rooting for her. She hasn't... Sometimes, you know, female main characters have moments where they like annoy you a little bit, you know. Not once has this woman annoyed me. I want to be her best friend. She has got my support 110%. 110%. I'm just gonna keep reading. I'm gonna keep reading until I can't read anymore, until I have to physically leave for dinner. So I'm guessing the next time I speak to you will be when I've finished and I can give you a final thoughts and opinions. But I think we know how this is going to end and what rating I'm going to give this book. But anyway, I'll catch up with you in a bit. Hello, my loves. I'm sorry if the lighting's a bit meh. We got to deal with it. Anyway, she did it. She read it and she has thoughts, she has opinions. I am happy to report that we have found our first 5-star of 2024. I think this is my favourite Ali Hazelwood. That may be a controversial opinion and I really wasn't expecting it, but it happened. I ate this book up. Like every other Ali Hazelwood, near enough, I read it in 24 hours. I just love this woman's writing. The fact that it's just so easy to read. It doesn't take a lot of brain power. I loved every single character in this book. Our main two characters, Lo and Misery, I loved them. I didn't have a single pet peeve about either of them. I don't have a single complaint about either of them. I thought Misery was hilarious. I loved her personality and the interactions she would have with other characters. I thought they were brilliant. I loved her and Lo. I just thought their dynamic was great. Lo as a character as well, I thought he was brilliant. I just don't have a bad word to say. Some of the criticisms of this book that I have heard, I do understand. For example, a lot of the world building and lore of this world is kind of delivered to us through just long monologues, and there can be just chapters of characters basically explaining the lore to us through their conversation, which I can understand why that would bug some people. But for me personally, I don't read an Ali Hazelwood for intense lore and intense world building. I went into this book fully aware that, one, this is her first paranormal romance, so this was kind of her first time dabbling into creating a world and a political law system, all of that jazz. So I didn't have high expectations, and because of that, I wasn't disappointed. Yes, it's a simple and easy way to deliver information, but it worked. It worked, you know. I don't have an issue with it. I had a great time. It gave me the information quick and easy. I understood what was going on and what was happening. And considering that, like I say, this isn't a big fantasy paranormal novel, we don't need all the in-depth nitty-gritty. Like, that's not the purpose of this book. That's not the point. So yeah, I just loved it. I loved it so much. 5 out of 5. I will definitely be rereading this book, 110%. This was my first take into the Omega-verse as well. I mean, it's not something I'm going to be actively looking for. Paranormal romance isn't my usual go-to. I haven't read a paranormal romance in quite some time. It's probably since my teen years. And it's not exactly a genre I plan to delve into more. The only reason I picked this up is because it was Ali Hazelwood. If Ali Hazelwood writes more paranormal romances, I will be picking them up. I will pick up anything this woman writes. If you like Ali Hazelwood, if you love her stuff but were a bit hesitant of picking this up because it's her first paranormal romance, just do it. Do it. You will not be disappointed. Just do it. Do it. Oh, I love it. And I actually am already looking forward to rereading it. I feel like I'm going to reread this pretty soon. I can't lie.